prison sentence is still better than the death penalty, which would be the end result of deportation.
Today, it is still true that being undocumented too often means facing a high risk of mistreatment and having few options to get help, protection, or justice. We spoke with Hanna Scott, a Swedish lawyer and researcher who is looking deeply into these issues for young people with insecure resident status in Sweden.
The socio-economic living conditions of the majority of research participants are marked by insecure access to housing, welfare, but also day-to-day basic needs like food, clothes. If you don't have the right to work legally, then you may be forced to try to earn a living in a kind of informal economy, laboring under very extreme conditions. Lack of secure legal status is very much interconnected with the risk of being exposed to violence.
Do you have an example of this violence?
One young person who I spoke to shared with me his experiences of being sexually exploited when he was homeless and had nowhere to sleep. So he's kind of reasoned his way from, I'm a victim of crime, I was assaulted, but I don't want to report it because my status is insecure, and I'm afraid that talking to the police may in different ways affect my residence status. The problem was that he didn't know what his rights were. I am the victim of crime. What can I do? Can I report this crime to the police? Will you help me?
Why is it so difficult to go to the police for help?
There are many barriers to reporting a crime in an undocumented situation. Perceptions of the police or authorities in general are really shaped by previous experiences of violence at the borders coming into Europe. This kind of internalization where young people see themselves through the eyes of the police as criminals rather than victims also plays a role in these very kind of strategic decisions around how they maneuver. These strategies of invisibility or avoidance obviously have to be reversed when you then seek to engage the police.
What could happen if you do encounter them?
I mean, one of the people I spoke to shared with me a story of how he was run over. I mean, I guess this is a crime that could happen to anyone. He was run over as he was crossing the street. It was a hit and run. Ambulance was called to take him to the hospital, but he was feeling too afraid to go to the hospital because of his undocumented status. So he convinced the ambulance staff that he was well enough to leave. But as he stepped out of the ambulance, the police was there and they questioned him. He went from being a victim of crime to being a deportable migrant. He was taken into custody where he was denied medical treatment and then spent the next few months in immigration detention.
What do you think needs to change?
I think the solution to criminal victimization and the lack of access to protection in an undocumented situation kind of lies beyond the criminal justice system. Easier pathways to regularization, a more generous or rather less restrictive migration law framework. I think what we need is clearer guidance on the issuance of residence permits to undocumented victims of crime.